Good morning, good morning, good morning. And the question at this moment is time, do you feel that? Do you feel that presence, that power of Om, of peace, of togetherness, of oneness? Um, it, I'm speechless because the movement in the room cultivated this energetic feel of peace to me, of togetherness, of connectedness. And that is the essence of the universe. That peace, that oneness, that vibration that connects us all. And so first and foremost, I want to say good morning and welcome to CSL Denver, a place, a space, and a face of love, a universal, a community teaching universal principles and applying them to our lives and the lives of others, so that we can take this on everywhere we go. Everywhere we go, this peace everywhere we go. Now, when we look at the theme of putting pieces together to make peace for the month, we're at that juncture in the road where, I'm sure some of us or all of us have seen one version or another of The Wizard of Oz. Whether it's the old one, the new one, the Broadway play, The Wiz, or whichever one, there's that song that says there's no place like home. And so today we want to dive into that and take it a little bit further and say there's no place like community, which is home, which is where you feel home. And you can tap into that peace. And so, it is community is this container. I want to start there. Community is this container where we can bring our full selves, even them parts we don't want people to see, and we can place it on the altar. We can put it in a perspective and in a place that allows us to say yes to life, where we won't be judged, we won't be criticized. We might be picked at a little bit just in fun, but it's all in loving kindness. All in loving kindness. And when we look around the world today, we see more than ever, I believe, loneliness and isolation and self-centeredness that is literally eating us alive. Eating us alive, inside and out. Sometimes you see people, you look at their face on the outside and you're like, boy, hope you didn't wake up with that face this morning. Because if you did, that you creating trouble for yourself. You're creating trouble for yourself because this idea of community, or this thing, better yet, of community is more than an idea. It's more than this words. It is an active, live movement entity. It has its arms and legs. It breathes and moves and creates a place of warmth, creates a place of well-being. And so what we're trying to do here, and what many other communities across the planet, regardless of their spiritual tradition, regardless of where they're located, regardless of their technical prowess, we are trying to create a place where we can be authentic, where we can be ourselves. Now, often, that's difficult to do. I mean, and I hate to go into popular culture, but I'm gonna do it just because I can. When we look at individuals making bombastic statements about other people, I'm not calling any details or any names, but when that happens, it destroys or begins to destroy the fabric of the community. Because now everybody is suspect and everybody is talking in hushed tones and pointing fingers, which creates more what? More isolation, more separation. And when we think about the idea of what we're facing globally, now is the time to form community more than ever. More than ever. And there's a thing about community that allows us to connect at a heart level when we're open to it. Magic word, open to it. Because if you're not open, I tell you what, take a bottle of water and leave the top on and try to pour some more water in it. Can't do it. Not open. But if you take the top off, as our founder said, Ernest Holmes, you got to stay open at the top. You allow for the fresh flowing spirit of water. You notice that little metaphor, spirit and water. It flows. It awakens. It alivens. And when we're able to do that, healing takes place. Love is expressed. Upliftment is provided for all manner of illness, of isolation, of loneliness. Anything in that manner is provided. Now, Jean Vanier says this: one of the miraculous things about community is that it enables us to welcome and help people in a way we couldn't as individuals. That we couldn't as individuals. Now, why is that? Because I only got my perspective. My perspective is limited. My perspective might even be wrong. But when we come together in community, we get different perspectives and we get nurturing and we get encouragement from others, we begin to get a better picture. And we create, as we said in the beginning, that container for community to take place. That container to take place. Because it is there in community that we begin to understand the connectedness of the spirit. The one thing that is indivisible and invisible, but his presence is felt in everything we do. Ernest Holmes says, we are one with the infinite. Now, he didn't, there's a bunch of people said that because truth is truth. We are one with the infinite. Now, I encourage everyone, and I know some people, this ain't your thing, but I'm gonna encourage it anyway. Every once in a while, go on, PBS is a good place to do this, and look at the various nature stories or documentaries that they have, where they show vast species of life living in harmony as one community that supports the life and upliftment of everything. And just a secret, that community was here before we were here. And it's still doing its thing unless we step in and mess it up, thinking we know better, thinking we can fix everything. Because there's something special about a group of people with a shared vision, with a belief system, and a work ethic that makes things happen. That makes things happen, that elevates the community to a high level and elevates each individual to a high level. Now, sometimes, it's by coercion, because you see so-and-so doing something, and you're, golly, I got to do something. Nah, I can't sit on my rusty dust anymore. I got to get to work. But that's what community is about. It's about work. It's about feeling a commitment to one another. It's about feeling a commitment to the divine energy that flows through each and every one of us, that is waiting, that is calling us forward to be alive, to be real, to be awake. And I know awake is not a popular term these days, but I don't care. we need to wake up. Because if we don't, this nightmare that we're having right now will continue. It will continue. I say it all the time. If you want to keep getting what you're getting, keep doing what you're doing. It ain't going to, I mean, it's not that hard. And God said this, when two or more are gathered in my name. Now, we know there's many names, but we know one of them is unity. We know one of them is love. We know one of them is togetherness. So when we are gathered together in love, in unity, in oneness, things happen. Healings take place. We are moved to a higher level of the divine expression of God. Now, Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i faith, says this: so powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth. When we come together, we can shine light on all of the various sicknesses and illnesses and shortcomings, and celebrate those things that uplift people and celebrate those things that are healing for people. But we have to do it as a community. We have to do it as a community. Now, we're experiencing right now what happens when we think of community as only humans too. Now, let's be clear about what community is. It is everything on this planet. Not just us as humans, but it includes the trees and the worms and the butterflies and the birds, because there is an interconnectedness of all life. And life is prime. Everything else is secondary. You know that mathematical term, prime number, can only be divided by itself in one. That's what life is. It's a prime thing. You can't divide it. You can't separate it. You can't. And when you try, you begin to destroy. You begin to degrade the oneness that is always present. And degrade is a bad word, because you can't not have the oneness. You can only put blinders on to the oneness. So we are challenged to expand our vision. We're challenged to look at community as a mirror for ourselves, so that we awaken to who we are. I mean, that's what all this is about. God said, in the beginning, I did all this stuff. And then I said, oh, I'm going to put some breath in you, and that one, and this one, and that one. And y'all are going to be little mini me's like they have on the movie. You're going to be little mini me's of me. And what I need you to do is to go out and spread love like I do. Go out and create like I do. Go out and be compassionate like I am. Go out and be forgiving as I am. Because when that happens, just like that Om Shanti, there's a vibration that takes place. You don't even need to do it. If you just sit in the presence of the vibration, you begin to feel it. You begin to be moved by it. Helen Keller said this: alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. Now, Helen Keller couldn't see, if y'all didn't remember that. She was blind from a very early age. I think like 3 or 6 or something like that. It was early. But she had this wisdom, this inner sight, that she knew together we are powerful beyond measure. Beyond measure. Now, the other thing that community asks us, begs us to do, is to be responsible and be accountable. Responsible and accountable. Why? Because These things you do to the most of them, you do it to the least of them. We can't get off here alive. We have come here to transcend to another place. So if we're going to enjoy here, we have to do it together. We don't want this to be a living hell, as some people say. We want it to be a ethereal, real paradise, a heaven on earth. A heaven on earth. And the way we do that with this one little phrase from the master teacher, Jesus. Jesus said, love your neighbor. I don't even think that's 5 words. Love your neighbor. That's 3 words. Look at that. 3 words. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's the kicker. As yourself. Because if you do that, you won't harm anybody. If you do that, you won't backbite. You'll go to their face and say, you know, I've been stewing on this for about 3 months because I didn't know how to say it, but I got to say it. And I'm saying it with love, and I'm saying it with kindness, and I'm saying it with a sense of upliftment so that we can grow together. Because I can't be my authentic self having this on my mind. And I'm sure you feel in my energy saying, what's the matter with him? He'd have lost his mind. What is wrong? Because that energy, that OM, is always moving. Always moving. And so when we can begin to really feel that, when we can begin to really understand what it means to be in community, and as Dorothy said, we can start clicking our heels, and there's no place like community. We come up with these 3 points that I believe really set the tone for building the beloved community. For building the beloved community. Now, the first thing we have to realize or remember or wake up to or learn it for the first time is we have to realize that we're connected. We talked about that last time. We're connected by the air, by the energy, by the sunlight, by the food, by the things we eat every day. We are connected. And there's this principle that is taught in quantum physics called quantum entanglement. If you haven't heard of it, go look it up. Quantum entanglement. That says, if 2 photons of light are correlated, meaning they got together, they came together, they said, oh, how you? Okay, I'm doing, and got related to one another, no matter where they are in the universe, if you separate them, they will still be connected. Now, the scientists have a real fancy term for how they know that. They say if you tickle one photon of light, the other one responds. Scientific term right there. You got to tickle the photon. You got to tickle the light, and the other photon of light recognizes that tickle. Now, the interesting thing about it, they're still trying to figure this out, that it's instantaneously. We have this scientific community says that there's nothing that moves beyond the speed of light. But when we look at the speed of light, that can be calculated. That's why when you watch the TV, sometimes there's a delay. That's why they say when the sun shows, it's already 2-3 hours gone by the time the sunlight's hitting you. But in this quantum entanglement, it's instantaneously. It's moving faster than light, which indicates that community togetherness is always the premise of life itself. Of life itself. We are wired to be in community. Wired in our brain to be in community. There's a doctor at UCLA. His name is Dr. Lieberman. He's a neuroscientist. Go look him up. I should have had a slide on him. Dr. Lieberman at UCLA, he's a neuroscientist, and he goes through his study is to look at the chemical and electronic makeup of the brain that forces us, that requires us to be together. There's a healing that happens in there. There's a point of laughter that happens there. There's a point of enjoyment that happens in this connection. Brene Brown puts it this way. We are hardwired to connect with others. It's what gives purpose and meaning to our lives. And without it, there is suffering. Without that connection, there is suffering. So now just think for a minute. Close your eyes and think for a minute at a time when you felt isolated or when you didn't feel connected. I would submit that underneath that, there was a suffering going on of some sort. And as soon as you made a connection, as soon as you got with your friends or your partner or your relatives or just somebody out on the basketball court, you begin to feel better. You might not even know why, but you did. We have to realize and recognize that connection is the foundation of the universe. There was one thing, and God created many things, and God said, I am in all things. I am in all things, and I am not separated. That's what God said. I am one, indivisible, all power, all healing is in my hand because I don't separate. So when we can realize that and step into community, now we've created this container for healing. There's that song that says, your prayer is my prayer too. Whether I want to say it out loud or not is another story. But your prayer is my prayer too. So let's realize that we're connected. Now, the next thing, the next thing is embracing diversity. I could have said a whole lot before I said that, but I didn't. I restrained myself. But diversity is key. Matter of fact, diversity is the only thing that makes community. Because if we got a bunch of sameness, that ain't community. But diversity is imminent. Diversity is paramount in creating a very, very good, strong community because it enriches lives. It helps us to recognize that as Dr. King says this. Dr. King says, we have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. Some of us came on the Mayflower. Some of us came on a slave ship. Some of us came on a rowboat. Some of us, came on the inner tube. But we're all in the same boat now. So are we going to begin to recognize the diversity? In all of those circumstances that people got here, we're here now. And we can point fingers and we can do a lot of that. But will it help build a community of safety? There'll be time for doing the debrief. I'm going to go to the game today. I'm going to go to the Broncos and watch the Broncos play Pittsburgh today. And I guarantee you, whether they win, lose, or draw, there won't be any Monday morning quarterback until after the game is done. When they're in the game, they got to figure out what's going on right now as a community of players. And that's a way for us to look at life. We're in this game, if that's a metaphor that works. that we have to work together. We have to be a team, and we can do some. We know we're not going to be perfect, but let's get the job done. Let's create a place of safety, of love, of encouragement, of upliftment. And then after we've done that, let's do a debrief. Well, we ain't loved too well. I mean, we loved okay. I think we could have loved a little bit better, but it was sufficient. On the next game, let's do a little better on the love part, on that compassion part, on that less judgmental part. That's what a community builds. That's what a community does. Now, the one thing that I really want to say about diversity, it increases perspective. It increases engagement, because that means if you knew and I don't know you, I got to get engaged, right? And ideally, I'm going to learn something and you're going to learn something. And now, where two or more gathered in his name or her name, there is more present and available to us. So, once we've done that, we've recognized the connection. We've recognized and embraced the diversity. Now we have to step into the container of healing. We have to step into the container of healing. Look, I'm going to be the first to say, we're all sick. We're all sick. We all have our own maladies in our mind, in our bodies, in our thinking, in our actions. It's not a put down, it's a reality. We all, as I love the metaphors of musicians, and Bill Withers, Grandma's Hand, and that Bill Withers, he has a verse on a song that says, we all have our own confusion. We all have our own confusion. But when we come together in a diverse environment where we can learn and work together, we can heal some of that. We can get rid of some of that misconception, some of that misunderstanding. Kelly Harrell says this: we don't heal in isolation, but in community. I guarantee you, if any one of us got sick and had to go to the hospital, there's a whole community taking care of you. There's the doctor, there's the dietitian, there's the nurse, there's the social worker that's coming to see if do I need to help you with your bills? There's a whole community at that hospital that's helping you heal. That's helping you move beyond the ailment or the malady that's keeping you from being authentically you. And so that's what we want to do today, is create a community that allows us to recognize our connection, that allows us to embrace our diversity, and puts us in a healing container. And through practice and ritual, we begin to heal and create and become a beacon of light for all to see. And we welcome you, whether you're here or online, to do that. And to call others to do that. To be a community of light and healing. Of light and healing. Because without that, life would be not so pleasant, I believe. And so I invite everyone to continue to build community, however you do it. Build the foundation that creates a beauty and a oneness and a connectedness that is beyond your wildest dream. It can be done. It is being done. Yes. And all we need is your commitment, your responsibility, and your open heart to love. Let us pray. Heavenly Mother, Father God, that wholeness of life, that community of love and understanding and knowledge and discipline that makes the world go round. That's present and being displayed by the divine, in all aspects of life. This idea of love and unity and cooperation that is displayed in everything the divine has created is what we are to emulate. It is our Om Shanti, that peace mantra that allows us to say yes to life. And I know that vibration is at the core of each and every one of us. It is vibrating, it is moving, it is singing a song of connectedness. It is doing a dance of liberation. It is allowing each one of us to stand firmly on our feet and declare yes. To declare, I am here. I am authentically myself, and I am here to serve and love. And so I know right here, right now, that as we begin to enhance this idea called community and click our heels together and say, there's no place like community, because we are wired for such, that we are allowing ourselves to be vulnerable today. We're allowing ourselves to make mistakes today. We're allowing ourselves to be open to a new way of living, to a new way of doing things, to a practice and a ritualistic life that enhances us but does not lock us in a box. Because it is there that the beloved community is birthed. And today we seek that more than ever more. And so it is in that understanding of togetherness, of creativeness, of loving kindness, that we say yes and that we give thanks. And so as we release this prayer, this word into a law that is always active, it is always vibrating on the Om Shanti. We release it, we let it go, we know that it is so, and we just sit back, relax, and say, and so it is, amen. And so it is, amen. And so, as always, we have a call to action. We can't get away with it. I know it's a burden sometimes, but we got to have it. That's what builds us, that common experience, that common thing that brings us together. So the first thing, what can you do that should be this week, not his week, but it might be his week or her week, who knows, to make someone feel welcomed and uplifted? What can you do to make someone feel welcome and uplifted? And then the second thing is find a place to serve. Those two things can go together. If you find a place to serve, you can make someone feel welcome and uplifted. And so to anchor this into our minds and hearts, we have this affirmation for the week. I embrace the warmth and strength of community. Together we uplift, inspire, and nurture our spirit. And so it is.